You may recall my recent video about women-only IT classes at Melbourne University. According to the Melbourne School of Engineering Dean Graham Schaefer, IT was a male-dominated field and needed to be more balanced to reflect modern society. Schaefer then published an article in The Australian on the 14th of March in which he asserts, "Quality is enhanced by diversity. This is also true for engineering. Actually, I would argue that it is particularly important for engineering. The purpose of engineering as intrinsically a service profession is to benefit society. Engineers do this by designing, building, operating and maintaining the artificial. To achieve this effectively, the makeup of the engineering workforce must reflect the society it seeks to serve." This is not the case at present, nor has it ever been. Our technologies are designed largely by men for men. Now, there's a fair bit of truth by assertion in there. Is quality enhanced by diversity? If so, what kind of diversity? Diversity of thought or diversity of genitalia? And if it's the case that women bring different perspectives and ideas, is that then an admission that men and women are different and that such differences may lead women to be more interested in other professions, as an increasing body of research suggests? And if all service professions must reflect the society it seeks to serve, then shouldn't there be a push to get more male nurses? And how far do we go? Should 3.5% of engineers be Indigenous to better reflect society? And are women not happy with the design and operation of bridges they drive over or their iPhones? And if so, what's stopping them from designing ones they find more suitable to their tastes? Now, before Professor Graham Schaefer was the Dean of the School of Engineering at Melbourne University, he used to be the Executive Dean for Engineering, Architecture and IT at the University of Queensland. And recently an anonymous poster left a comment on the women-only classes in IT video, which is an unedited email sent to all faculty in engineering, architecture and IT at the University of Queensland, sent out last year by the Executive Dean Simon Biggs. The subject reads, "Important changes to hiring of new staff within the faculty. Please read carefully. Following a report from the Equity and Diversity Working Group of the faculty in 2016 and the approval of the Faculty Leadership and Advisory Group, we are progressively introducing some important changes for hiring staff in 2017. Specifically, we will be moving toward the following outcomes. We will ensure our advertising is sympathetically worded to make clear that we support part-time and flexible work arrangements. I will work with our HRPST to ensure this is completed and available for all new advertisements before end June 2017. So standard boilerplate workplace flexibility to presumably appeal to women. We will require all chairs of interview panels to have undertaken training on what is expected of them as chair, especially in looking for and avoiding issues of unconscious bias or inappropriate questioning. We will progressively introduce this over 12 months as we put more staff through training. If you have not done the training by end June 2018, then you will no longer be able to serve as chair of an appointment panel. This condition will apply to all categories of staff. Over time, I hope that we will achieve a position where all members of any appointment panel will have received training. So that means compulsory unconscious bias training, or you can't sit on an appointment panel. And if you didn't know by now, unconscious bias training has been shown to have no effect or even negative effects. We will aim for 50% of our academic staff shortlists to be female, but I recognise that this is a tough task for many of our disciplines. Notwithstanding this, we will not proceed to interview unless at least one candidate on the shortlist is a female with a strong and credible track record. This will be hard, but we will simply have to get better at finding and encouraging strong female candidates to consider UQ and then apply to us. In case you think this is impossible, a similar rule applies at UNSW for engineering. I will be working with the heads of schools, centres and the HRPST to ensure that we can monitor this to my satisfaction. So because the University of New South Wales is doing it, we should do it too. At least Biggs acknowledges this will be hard. The number of women that complete bachelor's degrees in Australia is around 17% of the total. Women comprise over 35% of the master's degrees and about 25% of doctorate degrees. So you would expect if you shortlist about 4 candidates, on average, 1 should be a woman. But what do you do if no women apply? Do you just not hire people because there are no women? We will move to a system where it is normal practice after the interview session that we do not rank candidates immediately, but instead simply ask the question about whether they are appointable into the role. Prior to deciding whether to appoint, a more rounded discussion of the strategic needs of the school centre in terms of staff profile alongside teaching and or research needs will be undertaken. That is, staff diversity will be one of the criteria that we consider, along with usual ones such as research fit, etc. That's just a long-winded way of saying we're going to do away with that pesky merit business and give preference to diversity candidates or women. 5, we will provide clear guidance through HR of the flexibility available in negotiations, especially as this pertains to improving opportunities to tackle our diversity issues. 6, we will look to strengthen our mentoring process for all staff, but with a special focus on women and minority groups to ensure they are supported through the early part of their careers. Well, that doesn't sound like the soft bigotry of low expectations now, does it? I'm sure this will provoke some debate with you all, which I look forward to, but I am determined on this issue that we have to change our practices and challenge ourselves to achieve better outcomes for each of the faculty's units. Well, better outcomes for women, to be sure. Now, the University of Queensland is also part of SAGE, or Science in Australia Gender Equity Pilot of the Athena Swan program, which aims to improve gender equity in the science, technology, engineering, mathematics and medicine disciplines, STEM-M. The alleged problem is the so-called leaky pipeline of women employed in academic STEM positions. You can see here that there is actually no problem until you get to the higher levels. Only about 20% of STEM professors in Australia are women. So it's all about retaining women at those higher levels. Now, this program originally comes from the UK, and as noted here, the Athena Swan program implements an accreditation framework where organisations apply for a bronze, silver or gold award which recognises their progress in addressing gender equity. Organisations must receive a bronze award before they can apply for silver or gold. In the UK, some research grant bodies require organisations to have a bronze Athena Swan award to be eligible for grant applications. So in the UK, it's basically a case if you don't have enough women in your organisation, you can't apply for certain types of funding. I don't know about you, but that sounds like a form of blackmail, or at least coercion. So the University of Queensland is applying for bronze accreditation in 2019, and there are 45 Australian organisations, including universities, medical research institutions and government research institutions that are involved. So how long until certain types of grant and research monies are tied to this accreditation? Now, I want to make it clear that I'm not against increasing the amount of women in engineering or any other male-dominated field for that matter, but when you're going to such extraordinary lengths that amount to blatant discrimination, you have to ask why. What's the point? Especially since men are increasingly less likely to go to university overall. I mean, what happens when you get gender parity in STEM fields? Women will be 70 to 75% of all university graduates. Is that what the social engineers want? I suspect when gender parity is achieved in areas where women aren't equally represented, gender equity will cease to be an issue. Anyway, as usual, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you next time.